Welcome. We'll get started in just a moment. For reset and de-stress this week, we'll be on our mats or just a comfortable space on your floor. Today we're in Studio B, which is my actual yoga room. Sometimes we're in my dining room. So just a little switch up today, just something a little, a little different. So maybe grab blocks if you have them. If you don't, also grab a pillow. But another sort of nice way to make a block, I was watching my friend Jill's yin video, and she had a nice way to just, fold up a towel. A towel has a little bit of more support maybe than a pillow, so this might be nice if you want to grab a couple towels to just fold up into these nice little fake blocks. So we'll get started in just a few moments. You can make donations if you want. $5 is suggested for something like this that's short or less. To my Venmo or my PayPal that I have up here. I am doing weekly roundups portion of all the donations that I get from all the classes I teach. I've been donating to various charities. This week it's Hawk Again, which is an organization here in the North Shore in Salem and Beverly that works for victims of domestic violence, which is, it's a serious issue all the time. And right now, in the situation we're in, it's helping folks who are in those situations is tough. So we'll get started now. So come into a comfortable seat. You might sit up on a pillow if that works for you, if that feels comfortable. For now, we'll come into just an easy seat. This is called Sukhasana, easy pose. And take a nice tall spine and stack your shoulders over your hips. So sometimes there's a tendency to really lean forward, but see if you can lean back just a little bit. So relax back, open through your heart. And we'll start with an easy mudra. It's called Jnana Mudra, and we'll bring the index finger and the thumbs together. And then you can just place that down on your knees. And this is a mudra that really symbolizes our connection with the greater whole. So the self and the universe together. And one of the things that I know that I struggle with, just like everyone else, is coming into the present moment. So we'll work with that a little bit today. So close your eyes. It's like you're on a beautiful windswept beach, except you're probably in your living room or your dining room, just like me. And begin to fill your lungs as you breathe in and pull the air into your lungs, down and in. Imagine instead of just kind of down and expanding in one or two directions, imagine a three-dimensional expansion of your entire chest, your lungs, filling as much as you can, really, really nurturing our lung capacity right now. And then as you exhale and you bring all that air out, imagine that three-dimensional sphere all coming in and contracting on itself. So taking that image to really fully fill the lungs, expand in all directions, and exhale, contract in all directions. So big cleansing breaths as we move in and out. We not only nourish as we pull in, but expel and release as we push out. You might start to imagine a grounding cord from your root at the base of your spine, moving down into the floorboards beneath you, all the way down, rooting into the earth underneath, to help hold you stable. Oftentimes in stressful times, we feel as though we are just kind of drifting away into the ether. So coming back into a place of stability and strength. Try to relax your shoulders away from your ears, and you might even lift your shoulders up and place your shoulder blades onto your back, and you'll feel A little more expansion through the heart. A little bit more strength and stability within your spine. And as you focus just on this inhalation into this three-dimensional sphere of your lungs and of your lung cavity, and this exhalation, just watching that fill and empty, feeling it as you go, filling up and emptying. You might coax yourself to allow the space between each inhale and exhale to linger and to extend, so that your breath in and breath out becomes longer, more relaxed, more steady. And we won't stay in this seated meditation for very long. We'll come back to it before our Shavasana. But you can see how over time, as you practice this, it becomes easier and more relaxing to sit in this pose, especially if you have a pillow underneath you. So I do highly recommend that anytime you're looking to sit and meditate, you might put something under to make yourself comfortable. So let's open the eyes now, and we'll sweep the arms wide and high. And as you exhale, draw your hands to heart center. Let's do that a few more times, just sort of clearing the space around you, getting a little bit of movement into your body, but keep that rootedness down through your root, down through into the floor, into the earth, way below the foundation of your home. And then one more time, we'll sweep up and leave your right hand up and let the left hand start to come behind you. Right hand will cross over your left thigh, and just give it a little contact here for a little bit of a twist. So important to keep your spine nice and long as you maybe gaze over toward the left, maybe over your left shoulder if that doesn't feel too jinky on your neck. If it doesn't feel good, you can just keep your head in nice alignment where it feels good. If you want to take it a little further, you might drop your chin and roll your head a little bit side to side. Keep the navel drawn in toward your spine so you're staying nice and thin within the waist. And then we'll come back up through center, both arms rise up. Left arm stays up this time as you bring the right arm behind you, and then place that left hand on the outer right thigh to come into your twist. So lengthening through your spine, growing a little bit taller, crown toward the sky. You're moving your crown and your heart away from your hips, and the hips are really rooting down. So two opposite directions here as you twist. Maybe drop your chin towards your chest and find that little half circle again if that feels good. And then come back to center, both arms up. Let's bring the hands to the thighs and just find a little bit of circular movement, one way and the other. One wonderful way to find some de-stressing is to find some movement in the body. You know, sometimes when you just go for a walk, you feel better. Well, yoga has this benefit as well. Come back to center. Inhale, press the heart forward. We'll find a little seated cat-cow. And then as you exhale, pull the navel in toward the spine. Really arch through your spine. Find that C curve. Inhale, pressing forward, opening through the heart, broadening through the collarbones. Exhale, pressing back. Come back up to seated. Sweep your arms up and again. Hands come to heart center. From here, bring your fingers onto the mat in front of you. Now, we all have different ranges of motion, so no judgment on yourself here. Keep the nice long spine, and then see if you can hinge at your hips and just start to walk forward. You might only come to about here. If you feel like you're really tensing up, see if you can back out a little bit. Keep the heart moving away from the hips really pressing back. Remember, you have that anchor cord or that root. So you might be able to come down onto your forearms. You might take your little towel block and you might come down on this, or if you have actual blocks, you can always make a little stack as high as you want. From here, keep that nice tall spine. Your head's in line with your spine, so you're not bowing or having your head up, but keeping it nice and straight. And think of your crown moving in the opposite direction of your root. So your spine has a energy line called the Sushumna Nadi, and it is the alignment of all your major chakras in your body. So it's a very important thing energetically. If you subscribe to that, if you're like, I don't care about that kind of stuff, I just want to have a non-sore back, well, it's also very important for that as well. Having a healthy spine is really, really, really a great thing to work toward in our lives, and it's something we can all achieve. Let's come back up. From here, we'll come off of our seat. So we'll come into tabletop. I just want to come over and make sure that this looks good. Yep, okay. So in tabletop, your toes can be tucked or untucked, but find that same long spine. From here, inhale, drop your spine. We'll come back to that cat-cow just a few times now in our tabletop formation. And then let's bring the knees wide, toes together. Now, if your hips are feeling tight and you have the ability, you can keep your feet wide here as well. Otherwise, toes can come together. If you keep your feet wide, you'll come into what they call in yin yoga tadpole, which is like child's pose. So if this works for you, you might come into a little bit wider to get into the hips. And bring your forehead down. And take a few breaths in this stable place. And when the mind starts to wander from your present moment, which right now is you in child's pose or tadpole, come back to the image of the inflation of the chest in all directions, almost like you have a beach ball within your lungs, right? So all sides. And then that exhale as everything pulls together, and just watching that beautiful inhale and exhale, that pulse, slow and fluid, and almost like I'm a marine scientist, so I tend to liken everything to something I see in the ocean, but sometimes if you're along the shore and you can see seaweed right under the surface of really clear water, and it's just sort of ebbing and flowing with the tide and moving in this beautiful fluid dance, imagine your lungs doing the same thing. So let's come back up to tabletop, and we'll shift into puppy pose or anahatasana. So stacking your hips over your knees, start to walk your hands forward. Now here is another important place not to really scrunch up. If you find yourself scrunching up, you can start on your forearms to really get your ears away from your shoulders. From there, you might start to shimmy the hands forward, and then just bring your head down as close as it will come to the floor. You can always bring a block here. Making sure that you have enough space so that you're not tucking the knees too far under your hips. You want to have a nice long spine. So tenting the fingers and engaging through your arms a little bit here can also help. I'm just going to remove my block. Some of you are very open in your chest and you might be putting your chin on the floor. So a big stretch in your shoulders and in the heart space. We'll do a little bit more heart opening in a bit. And then let's put the forearms down and we'll shift forward onto the belly. Now from here we'll come into Sphinx. So if you find that you're, kind of crouching down onto your arms like this, you can push your forearms forward so that your elbows are a little forward of your shoulders. And then really press the heart forward again. So fingers into the floor, a little bit of a drag back of the fingers, pressing the elbows down and then back. Strong in the legs here. The heels can come out to the side just a little bit. From here, let's bow the head and we'll come back to those half circles. Come back into center. Now, you've been engaging a lot here, right? So now let's start to soften. So your bones are in place. You've got everything there that you need to get there. Now see if you can start to relax your muscles a little bit. So you can even let your shoulders slump a little bit here. I know I'm saying to slump your shoulders, but we'll come into a little bit more of a yin pose here. So getting yourself into this place. Now you can bow your head. Relax through your belly, relax through your glutes, let the heels fall out. We'll come into a more passive stretch of the heart and of the low back. So yin yoga is a practice that really incorporates a lot of the Eastern Chinese, traditional Chinese medicine and a lot of the lines of the body related to that. And it's a passive practice that uses time and gravity to help not so much work with our muscles, but with our bones and with our connective tissue. So sort of those forgotten parts of our musculoskeletal system. So we'll hold this for about another minute or so. You can really start to relax through your arms, so the bones now are holding you up, so the muscles can begin to relax. And as you actively, in your mind, likely are telling yourself to relax, it can bring you into the present moment because you're thinking about or experiencing, rather, all the sensations you might be having in your body. And now from here, let's just bring our elbows out, stack your hands, make a little pillow, bring your forehead down, and just relax everything into the floor now. So let yourself completely come into a state of non-engagement with your muscles. So you'll feel where those where the parts of your body that were being worked in that pose. So a lot of the connective tissue around the low back and some into your legs and into your arms. And you might feel a little buzz in there, a little bit of prana movement. I'm drinking a delicious sparkling water that I did not realize had caffeine and electrolytes in it. So it's a good thing I'm drinking it now and not at 8 o'clock at night. As a quick grab at Stop and Shop. So come back up to your Sphinx pose just for a moment so you can see what I'm doing. We'll come into half frog on the right side. So easy, you're just going to stick that right knee out to the side, have a flex in your foot, and you're making a nice right angle between the hip, the knee, and the ankle. From here, If you want to bring something down under your forehead, or you want to just lay a cheek down now, you can bring your arms a little bit wider. And we'll come into a nice frog, half frog, yin hip opener. So once you get yourself here, again, you're using your muscles to place your bones where you want to put them. And then you can let yourself release. Ask your hip, especially right here, to start to let go muscularly so that you can help really lubricate that joint with the time and with the passive gravity in this pose to work those connective tissues. And if your mind starts to wander, remember that there's nowhere else you need to be right now. Come back to that expansion and contraction, the beach ball within your lungs. Maybe you're watching seaweed sway. Maybe it's trees on a gentle breeze. The ebb and the flow. And then just bring your head back up. You can come back into that intermediary sphinx here, and we'll set up for, actually, let's not set up for the second side yet. Both legs come straight, and then just bring your head back down. So take a moment in between to let that right side reset. You might wiggle your hips a little bit side to side. Once you feel ready to move to the second side, then you might prop yourself up just to get that left knee up to the side. And you can't see if I face this way. So again, you're bringing that left knee out this time. You're still gonna have that nice right angle. If this doesn't feel good, if you're on like a hard floor, you can always put something underneath your knee, like a blanket. I should have mentioned that on the other side, but you know, do you. That feels good for you. So find that, and then you might take that little cross again with your forehead. Maybe you switch the cross, or you bring your other cheek down. Allow the muscles to get your bones into place, and then begin to release. long, and then just come back to forehead onto your hands, into the mat, and lay prone for a moment on your bellies. Maybe wiggle the hips side to side. Just feel any sensations that come back into the left side. Half frog is a really great, nice, easy hip opener, especially if you need to prop up a side, prop up a knee. Over time, that hip gets closer and closer to the mat, and you can feel some nice equilibrium come into your pelvis and into the hip girdle, especially for any runners out there. It's a good one. So from here, just push your way up and come back to a seated position. We'll take a few more moments of seated meditation, a little guided meditation before we come onto our backs. So we'll come into another mudra called Apana Mudra, and a little bit closer. So taking your middle and your ring fingers to your thumb. So do that on both hands, and then you're just going to leave your index and your pinkies free. And then you can bring that down back to the hands to your knees perhaps. And this mudra, and again, a mudra is a seal, and it's sort of a really great way to incorporate intentions into your practice. You know, sometimes you go to a class and it's like, make an intention, and you're like, well, I don't know, I'm trying not to eat so many potato chips or whatever. You know, it can be that, of course. But sometimes the little bit of guidance with what mudras, these seals of sort of an intention and of a movement of energy, can really help us in our practice. So Apana Mudra is a seal, a mudra of release. And it loosely translates to downward movement. Contraindicated if you're pregnant. So if you're pregnant, maybe just come back to Yana Mudra, or you can come into Anjali Mudra. So for a downward movement, we're thinking of, as we're inhaling and exhaling, we're releasing, we're just letting things go back down, right? We're just letting it go and into the earth, transmute it, becomes something else. Great. Why do we release? Why do we want to get rid of some of the stuff that we're holding with us? Is because that really prevents us from being in the present moment. When we're thinking about 85 different things in all different directions, and we all do it. It's human nature to do so. So we're not necessarily fighting human nature by taking this type of practice, but we're trying to find a practice that can calm some of that. So taking this mudra, and as you breathe into your big lung beach ball and exhale out, imagine anything that's clinging to you. It doesn't have to have a name. It doesn't have to have a specific form, but just imagine that downward movement off of you, shedding of the skin. Another image you might bring into your mind as you sit and breathe is this concept of sort of a helium balloon, right? The balloon is going by and you're always kind of grabbing at that string, you know, wanting to grab onto whatever that thought is. Try to resist. Let that balloon just kind of keep going. Not that balloons are good, they do pollute the ocean, but for our sake of our meditation, we'll just think of this balloon that will never fall into the ocean. It just kind of glides along, and it can come back when the time is right. So let those things, those thoughts that are not the present moment, just be floating on their way for now, and trust that they will come back. You can come back to them when you need to. So this downward movement, shedding off of you. And the resisting of grabbing for those strings right now. Don't let those things that come along pull you out of your present moment. You can always think of them later. Learning to trust our judgment with ourselves is part of our practice as well. If something is truly important and urgent, you can lock it away and deal with it. You likely will not forget about it. But all the other little nagging, chitta-vritti, or mind fluctuations, if you forget about it for a while and you don't come back to it, probably wasn't that important. This mudra also helps with any of your elimination organs. So again, this downward movement, this release. So keeping your urinary tract and all of your excretory system healthy is important, of course. A healthy diet, healthy movement, and of course, you know, this positive way of thinking of energetically sealing these concepts into our being, into our body, has a powerful, thought is powerful. A little time check. And let's come back. So fluttering the eyes open. Again, let's just sweep the arms up and bring the hands to heart center. From here, extend your legs out in front of you and give them a little shake. So you might move a little side to side to make sure that you're sitting on your sits bones. Move the fleshy part of your glutes out of the way so that you're really sitting right on the heads, basically, of your femur. Flex your feet. Reach your arms up to the sky, and we'll just come into a little forward stretching here, Paschimottanasana, Vinyasa. Bring your hands to where they land. So again, we're trying to keep the back nice and straight, moving the heart away from the hips. Your hands might land on your shins. They might be on your thighs. If they're on your knees, try not to press into them very hard. They may be beyond. They may be over the tops of your feet. You might take a block and bring a block onto your shins if this is more comfortable, and we'll give you some more space. So feel that nice stretch in the back of your legs. Hamstring stretch. Great for our walkers and our runners, which most of us are these days. Getting those steps in, getting out, wearing your mask or your scarf. Maybe give your toes a little wiggle. And from here, if you'd like to bow your head, you can. This is a little bit more active, a little less yin here, so we're still being pretty active in our legs for the muscular stretch. And we'll come back out of it, and now we will move into a little bit more of a yin pose. So I need to make a little space here because I am very long. We'll come into wide leg stretch, which in yin is called butterfly. So two options. You can bring your legs wide, or you might come to a bound angle pose with your feet kind of away from you if this feels better. I'm gonna demo this with your legs wide, and you might grab some of your props you have, your towel, your pillow, your blocks, whatever you have. If you haven't ordered blocks yet and you have been practicing at home, I highly recommend it. They're just a great thing to have in general. So even, who knows what's going to happen after the pandemic as far as practicing, there'll probably be a call for a lot of virtual classes still. So your feet are flexed to start. Now take your feet and just start to wiggle them. Encourage some relaxation. Sitting tall, so the shoulders stacked over the hips. You probably are engaging your navel here. I would recommend it to get yourself in that tall spine. Once you get there, you can start to, again, we're moving our muscles, using our muscles to get ourselves into the pose. Now from here, you start to feel some loosening, and just let your feet go where they feel good. So once you get there and your legs can begin to relax a little bit, that's where we can find our tall spine to lean forward. So maybe we come just to our forearms again. Once you're here, you might start to let the back round a little bit. Okay, No, we don't do this in vinyasa, but for the purposes of this relaxation and of this yin, a little bit more of a subdued practice to help bring down our parasympathetic nervous system to a nice even tone, we can allow this relaxation of the muscles to get into the connective tissue. And come back to your breath. You might even take a mudra that feels good here. So you might come back to Apana mudra, which is the downward movement, the release mudra. Or you might come back to Yana mudra, which we also learned today, which is, you know, sort of that classic one that you see sometimes your Buddha statues with, of the connection of the self with the universe. So take whichever one feels like it's calling to you, or if nothing is, your hands can just relax. Then come back up. You can shake your legs out, bring them together, give them a little shake. And we're going to come onto our backs for a supported heart opener. So if you have blocks, you can use blocks. Otherwise, you might use your folded up towels. So just bring your feet into the floor. One of your towel blocks or your real blocks will go right below the bottom of the back of your ribs. And then the other one will come behind the back of your head. Now you can also use pillows if you have pillows and want a little bit more of a relaxed situation here. If you have very open heart, you can certainly just lay yourself back. You don't want your neck to hurt though. So your feet might stay into the mat just like this. They might come a little bit wider and you might knock your knees in. If you want a little more hip opening and it's available, you can bring the soles of your feet together for bound angle, Supta Baddha Konasana, on your back. And then try to let the shoulder heads fall away from one another and into a space below you, allowing the heart to shine forward and up toward the sky. And come back to watching those strings of those balloons just drift to the side for now. Come back to the expansion of the beach ball in your lung cavity. And then the contraction as the air moves out. You might come back to the Apana mudra again with your fingers here. Letting anything that has been sticking to your mind space or your physical body move down and out. here, gently roll off any props that you have over to your side and just come into the fetal pose. My speaker's running out of juice. And then come back onto your back. Lay yourself out for your Shavasana. You might bring a pillow underneath your knees if that feels like it's something that calls to you. And the secret to a good Shavasana or a good meditation is getting comfortable. So make yourself as comfortable as you can. Closing your eyes. Use your muscles again here to get yourself into your place. And then let the muscles begin to let go, relax, release. And imagine the back of the body becoming heavier. And the same root cord that came down while we sat earlier in practice, imagine the roots growing from all the points along your Sushumna Nadi. So along your whole spine, from the back of the head, from the throat, the heart, right by the navel, sacrum, and your roots, all the way down into the earth, stabilizing you and supporting you. And let the whole front side of the body become a little bit more expansive, a little lighter. And so you can feel yourself with these two equal and opposite sensations, rooting down, rising up, so that you can be neutrally buoyant in between. Begin to draw a little bit of movement back into your body. So start by taking a deeper breath in and a long breath out. Wiggling your fingers and your toes. And from here, you might draw a full body stretch, lengthening along your mat. And eventually rolling over to your right side, coming into fetal pose. Letting your low back release, feeling the support of the floor. And energetically now moving from this place of rest back to renewal and back to movement into your day. Hopefully carrying along the energy you just cultivated in your practice. When you're ready, come up to a comfortable seated pose, kneeling, or back to Sukhasana, cross-legged sweet pose, or any pose that works for you. And we'll just bring the hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra, a seal of reverence to ourselves, to those in our Sangha, our community of practice, those who all around us, and then to the universe and everything around us. And then the thumb knuckles will come to the third eye space. Lean the heart back, open a little bit through the heart, and we bow forward. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you all for joining me for your little lunch reset and de-stress. This will be archived on here, so if you had any people who missed it, it'll be there, and I'll also be putting it up on YouTube. I have a few more classes coming up this week, so just keep checking back. I'll be teaching tomorrow night and Friday night as well, and brunch yoga is back on Sunday at noon. So hope you guys tune in and have a lovely evening, or well, it's not evening time yet, it's only lunch, afternoon and evening. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.